to African Teapot Podcast. My name is Exie and I'm your host. Journey with me through Africa's vast variety of culture, heritage, and discuss issues most African families face, both home and abroad. Make sure you add this podcast to your frequent podcast rotations, and don't forget to share and follow this podcast. Hello guys, and thank you for tuning in to another episode on African Teapot. Today's episode is titled African Family Tree Part 2. And before we get into anything, Linie is here again today or this week.
Hello everybody.
Hope you're having a wonderful week. Everyone is keeping safe, staying positive. Today's message is positivity anyway, so it's positive all through, guys.
We're gonna be shooting positive vibes your way.
Yes, it's positive from this pair of sisters. And why I'm saying that again, Linie, is because someone did ask me actually, two people. Like, was that real? Was that your sister on, or
Really?
was it a friend? I swear.
Yeah,
I
she
swear.
would
I
never
shouldn't swear, but I swear.
voluntarily decide to be stuck with me. So I have to be her sister for her to put up with me.
and it was just funny when people, I said, why would I joke about something like that? But anyways, yeah,
But
guys.
you know, but it's going to turn into an African
It's
family
still the same
tree.
thing. And I think that's why I said when I wanted to do this, I said I should do it with family.
Yeah.
Because that brings out what we are saying in our culture.
Because guys, I actually do call my best friend my sister sometimes, or my cousins.
Which
so,
we're going to get into that.
Actually, it does make sense, and it brings us to a recap for last week, just so it's easier to follow along. But you should go back and watch it, because I must say you want to listen to me twice.
Yeah, and the story last week was actually a heavy story, and it was just something that I think I got a lot of feedback, and there was a lot of communication behind the scenes from people.
Yeah.
So it did draw a lot of people. People had opinions about it, so that was really good. It was really engaging.
So we had a story of polygamous.
It was a polygamous family,
and how the extended family members having a lot of input, or how even part of the nuclear family too was like making life hard or complicated for that nuclear family to function, and the nuclear family just being the mom, the dad, and the kids.
Yes.
But today we have a story, like we said.
Yeah, we have
positive.
2 stories actually to share today to kind of tie with last week. But before we get into the story, you do have a little proverb for us.
I do. Old African saying, if you are African, you've probably heard it
1,000 times.
Exactly. And it's going to be, it takes a village to raise a child. Because literally for us, it takes that village, that
is
community
what goes on.
to raise a child. It could be the vendor, the pastor, the teacher, the person, the cab driver, the person who you only see walk across the same street every day.
For real. Your teacher, anybody.
Yeah.
That person can be part of your family.
It's like a general, almost like thing. It's almost like when you're older than you, they kind of have a say.
They have a say.
If I'm right.
And I think it's the same thing with the whole sister thing. Because those who asked me were Africans that asked, making sure that we are blood related.
Yeah.
Because that's where the culture came in. Because they were thinking, oh, maybe she's just maybe a cousin, or maybe she's just an old friend you're saying your sister.
That makes sense.
Which is very typical with most African families. So we are just going to get into the stories. For the sake of the narration, I'm going to give names, but this is a disclaimer. These names are not the true names of those involved in the story. This is just so that we can have a better understanding of the story, okay? So there is a girl called Mary, and she lost her dad when she was about 4. And so she was raised by her mom. And in this case, her immediate extended family from her paternal side really did not help in trying to raise them up. So it was pretty much just her mom and her mom's sisters, and I think a brother. So it's like an uncle and her 3 aunts that helped to kind of assist her mom, raise her and her other 4 siblings. So she is the last, actually. And so Mary just spent time growing along and having her mom care and take care of everybody. That's what she understood and she knew. And so her sister, one of her sisters, did have the opportunity, her older sister had an opportunity to come over to the States. And when she did, she met John, right? So we'll call John, and John is the husband to Mary's sister, if that makes sense to you. Hopefully it does. So with the sister being here, John loves the sister, and in turn loves Mary, because Mary is the younger sister, and she was just full of life and everything. And so this husband agrees, this husband John, this is her brother-in-law at this time, John agrees that he's going to try to bring Mary over to the States and send her to school. And at this point, they weren't really married. He really wasn't married to her sister. They were more like engaged. And so she gets over here to the States, and John assists the sister. At this point, her mom can't take care of these finances. So this guy John helps the sister to raise Mary here. Or let's not say raise, but educate Mary. So he helped Mary through a school right up to getting her nursing's degree. And before he got married to the sister. So he's pretty much an extended family member. He's an in-law to her, but helped her. And she, at the time when she was graduating from school, she had been here for like, I think at that point was like 7 years that she had been here, 6 to 7 years, about 6, I would say. And he did all of this, assisted the sister and paid all of this, and really wasn't expecting anything back, but just because he loved the family and loved her sister. So Mary was blessed to have someone come into the family and help her to further her education. And then our second story is about this guy called John. I would say again, I know. But John, it was a student, and this is back in Cameroon. This story is back in Cameroon, not set here. He is back in Cameroon, and he is one of these boys in school, in high school, who is I would say one of those troubled teens, struggling with school, not attending classes, and the parents were struggling to send him and his other siblings to school. He had both parents, but they were struggling to make means. They were struggling to get by. And so one of his teachers saw him, and for some reason, she decided to help him and say, hey, you know what? You need to go to school. Education is everything, and just encouraged him. And before you knew it, this boy, John, started visiting this teacher's family, like over the weekends. And the teacher would give him like money, like I would say cab fare. Most Africans would know what this means, but would give him money for cab, give him money to cut his hair, new pair of sandals for school, just little things like that the teacher would do, the teacher's family would do for John. And then eventually John's parents were like, we want to meet this teacher, right? And so they meet the teacher, and the families pretty much become one. They become one, and till date, that is what is going on. And this family is out here in the States, but this boy, John, pretty much is the one who manages and takes care of everything back home. Back in Cameroon. He is in charge of he's the manager for all their businesses. And the families are pretty much one thing. They call themselves, people can't distinguish the kids. They think that the teacher's kids are his younger ones. But no, he just loved this teacher, and the teacher just took him in pretty much and sent him to school as well, all the way to the university. So these are the two stories we have, and we'll just go ahead and break into the details. Okay, Linie, so listening to both stories, what is your take? Like, what opinion do you have, or opinions? Because I know you don't have just one. So what do you have to say? Because I could see you smiling.
I'm always a girl of a lot of opinions.
Yeah, I can see you smiling. And even when I was reading the story, I was smiling, contrary to last week when I was reading the story.
Last week, I was like,
yeah, you were
98,
you were
99,
biting your
100.
lips. But this one, when I was reading it, I was smiling, and I could see you smiling at the same time as I was reading it.
True. Like, I was just listening to it, and I could, like, the one where the guy, college tuition in America is not easy. I had,
True.
sending my
I
own,
mean, that's why they have funds. Parents have to create funds for these kids. College funds.
My own self to college is hard. I'm doing that for a known family member, but just because you love that person and you're able to do that, that
And
is
he
doing,
loves the sister.
I know,
The love started from the
the
sister.
and it extends
And
to that
spread it.
person.
Yeah, it spread all
And
over.
home, we have, like, guys, especially if you go to a family and you marry the the first daughter or the first son, or you're married to the first son,
You're married to
it's
everyone.
almost like you're married to
It's
everyone.
like you have younger
you
ones.
take care of everyone down that tree. There's nothing like you go,
And when we
I'm
say
married
take
to
care,
you.
it doesn't mean that the parents stop taking
Obviously,
care of
yeah.
these people. Obviously, we don't want people to misunderstand what we're saying. When they say take care, that means you have to care for that family as if it were your own.
Precisely.
Care is respect. Care is financial help. Care could be any emotional support, whatever it is. But it is expected that you marry a family and not just an individual, right?
Yeah.
You can't love a calf and hate the cow.
Exactly. And that's exactly what he did.
Yeah.
He loves that family. Then the teacher story was so sweet, and
shout out to teachers, by the way.
And I swear, teachers have a big heart. They care for so many kids, and you can, and she just loved that kid as her own. You can tell a story going right there, and the two families become integrated, and that's the thing. And I would feel like that's the thing with the African culture, and I would say especially when you guys go out of the country, and you're especially here in America, when someone's
other European countries as well.
Yeah. When someone's like, this is my sister or my cousin, I find myself asking, blood related, or just by association.
Just like the same question people asked me, right?
Which was a fair bet.
Yeah, if you are my blood sister or just sister. And probably most Americans or most people who are not familiar with the African culture would wonder, why would you call somebody who is not your sister? Or why would that person ask you if that's your sister or just your sister? It doesn't make any sense. But for us, it does, because family is who cares for you. Family is who supports you. Family is who wants to be there for you. Yeah. That's who, in an African sense, that's what we mean family when we say family.
And especially here, when you're traveling out to the European American countries, and you have
transition
family member that lives and come over here, they can be staying with sometimes just a family friend, sometimes a pastor.
I usually call those transition families, where that family is kind of helping you settle in, and then eventually they become your family here.
Sometimes it takes 4 years. They're literally housing you, giving you rides around, paying for stuff, feeding you, phone bill and everything. And that's just how you see someone literally going out of your way, welcoming you and integrating you. That's a beautiful thing to see.
That's family right there. An African, if you meet them, that person suddenly becomes their auntie, their uncle, their kids become their brothers and sisters.
Yeah.
It's like an adopted family.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
And I personally highly believe friends are literally family to me. I would say for you to be a friend to me, I've got to love you that much, my family. I call.
So do you think people throw that word around a lot, friend, but maybe not in the sense of family?
Yeah, it's different, and I'm not saying you're saying it wrong. That's just what it means to me.
Yes.
Last time, I said, left hand, right hand. Hey, it's just it's
you favor your right hand.
I know, right now I would say it's just different. It's just the left. Don't use it as much as my right hand. It's just for someone else, a friend is, you're using it right. A friend is a friend, but for some people, when they say friend,
it's a sister.
I am going to do something if you mess with that person,
Yes, that's my ride or die, sometimes they say, right?
Yeah, it's pretty much just that kind of thing.
Yeah, and we see that the family spreads, because when you want to marry someone, it comes up again. And then if you have a child, you realize that other people have opinions how to raise the kid, and we do not consider it rude. This is something that I also want to explain, because sometimes people misinterpret it and go, oh, they're so meddlesome, they shouldn't do that. But we were all raised like that. We were all raised like that. And in our culture, it is fine. It's okay to meddle when you want to, when it's for like a positive result, right? Yeah. If that person is saying, hey, why are you spanking the kid? Don't spank the kid, for instance, right? It's not good to spank the kid. It's okay for a neighbor to say that. And that's one cultural difference that I also found here, where you can't discipline somebody else's child. True. You understand? In the Western world, you can't discipline someone else's kid. But growing up, I understood when I see my mom's friend approaching, or the neighbor, Linie, if you remember, we are in good behavior. If we were like into any mischief, you immediately, adjust yourself, because you know that they have the right to discipline you. So we considered them family. At that point, I don't call them Beatrice. I would say Auntie Beatrice, right? Yeah. We won't. You won't call it
auntie and uncles a lot. Like just the person I buy the vendor across the street, you can be Auntie Grace. You'd be like, is that your aunt? I'm like, no. I just see her every
I think it's
time,
a sign of respect too.
And I have a lot of respect for her too.
That's another thing with the African family tree, because those we call aunties and uncles, necessarily we also say that out of respect, because you can't refer to someone older than you by their name. Say like John.
And we can say Mr. and Mrs., but to us it's like so informal and disconnected.
Mr. Yeah. But like, auntie is intimate.
Yeah. Right? It is more. And so you're trying to tell the person, Auntie's like, family. That is how close you are.
This is how close you are. Auntie Beatrice. I saw Auntie Beatrice today. Or your mom will be like, you go say hi to Auntie Beatrice. So she's emphasizing
like literally
the aspect that this can be your family.
Like you buy bread from the lady across the street every day, and she doesn't see you on Thursday and she doesn't see you on Friday. She will cross the street and she'll walk. Sometimes
she has the right to knock down your door.
Sometimes even that same day at 2 p.m. she'll be like, hey, you didn't buy anything today. Are you okay? And you're like, what? Because it's 6 hours late.
Yes. And I think that we also have that sense of community and sharing as well. It's coming from all of this. So guys, this is not something that is like we are trying to correct or anything. We are just saying that there are always two sides to a story, always two sides to a coin. In as much as last week, we were all heated because there was a lot of pressure that was placed on specific family members to do particular things, and they were receiving these instructions from people that we felt were just meddling. These were extended family members. And at the same time, you are seeing here where extended family members or people who are not even blood family step in and save a situation, save a kid, save a life, right? And they are rewarded by belonging to that family. I think that's how our culture is. If you are being referred to as let me just use this word for lack of a better one, as a foster kid to a family, a foster mom, a foster dad, it's like a privilege for us, right? Yeah. Like you have another family kind of. It's something that we do. So there is no African that you meet. This is just something that we are going to cover here today. There is no African that you meet, and the only people that they refer to as dad, mom, cousins, auntie, and uncles are only blood relations. No. Some of those people that they refer to like that are people that have been rewarded because those people cared for them at some point in their life, or they cared for those people at some point in their life, right? It's vice versa. They become family. And I think that brings us to the end of our story and our discussion for this week. And like we said, you can always be part of the conversation through email, through Instagram. However, you can always communicate with us. African Teapot, it's on Instagram, like I already said. So just go ahead and be part of the conversation. If you have anything you want to share, Linie, I will be here. She'll be behind the scenes, guys. She's always behind the scenes. You may not hear her voice all the time, but she's behind here telling me what to do, with her fingers and her facial reactions and everything. But thank you so much, guys, for tuning in. And at this point, Linie, what do we say?
We're going to say goodbye. And I personally
see you next time.
Want to say thank you for having me. And
you're welcome,
maybe gone for a little bit, but miss me. Miss me.
Thank you. And stay safe out there, guys. Bye.
Bye.